My child, listen closely. Tonight, I am taking you back to a moment you didn't see, a moment you didn't hear, and a moment you didn't even sense while you were asleep. A moment that unfolded right outside the very place where you live, breathe, rest, and dream. A moment that didn't happen in a forest, in an abandoned place, or in any isolated darkness. It happened at your gate, your entrance, your doorstep. Yes, my child. Your door was chosen last night. And the one who chose it was not someone wandering. Not someone confused. Not someone lost or innocent. No, my child. What stood at your door last night was a woman who had surrendered herself to the shadows. A woman who carried nothing but bitterness in her hands and poison in her intentions. A woman whose footsteps were guided by darkness, not by accident. A woman who came with purpose, with plans, with a mission shaped in the pits of spiritual corruption. And what she came to do was not normal. Not harmless. Not ordinary. She came to place something on your home. To target you quietly. To plant something in the unseen. To release something she hoped would enter your life by morning. But she didn't know something. Something she should have feared. Something far stronger than her intentions. Someone who watches your door more carefully than you ever realized. But before I reveal what stopped her, why she came, and why blood came out of her mouth, you must see what actually happened, step by step, in the very hour you were sleeping. My child, let me take you to that moment. When the night settled and the world grew still, the city felt empty, untouched, almost breathless. Your neighborhood slipped into silence, each light fading one by one, until the only thing awake was the moon staring down from above. People inside every house were resting, unaware of the shift in the air. But outside your home, a presence approached. Her footsteps were slow at first, dragging across the ground. She moved like someone carrying weight far heavier than her own body. Her clothing was ragged, stretched, and coated in the scent of burnt leaves and damp soil. Her hair hung over her face, and parts of her skin glowed faintly with dust from powders she had rubbed on herself. My child, if someone else had seen her, they would have turned away. But she didn't care. She wasn't trying to hide. She knew exactly where she was going. Exactly whose home she needed. Exactly whose destiny she wanted to interrupt. And that destiny was yours. She stopped in front of your door and placed her hands upon the wood. Long, thin fingers scraping lightly at the surface as though she were greeting something invisible. Then she reached into her cloth pouch and pulled out a small stone, flat, carved with unfamiliar lines and coated in something sticky and dark. She pressed that stone against your door. And then, the ritual began. She whispered words that carried vibrations not meant for human ears. Words that seemed to curl and twist into the air like threads of smoke. Her breath grew heavier, faster, and her eyes shifted, from human, to something else. My child, do not fear this description. I am revealing it so you know why I had to intervene. The moment her whispers deepened, she took a nail-like object, thin, sharp, rusty, and began scratching your door. Not lightly. Not gently. But with intensity, as though she was carving a message for the unseen. Strange lines formed. Shapes that carried meaning she could not fully understand. Patterns she had copied from a book she should never have opened. As she carved, the air thickened around her. The wind stopped. The night held its breath. Every stroke on your door was an attempt to weaken the peace inside your home. Every line was meant to open something. Every symbol. A key she believed would unlock harm. And all of this, my child, happened while you slept under the illusion of safety. But darkness knew you were unaware. She knew you would wake up with no memory of this moment. That is why she chose that time, when your body was still, and your spirit was resting. Yet she made one mistake. She assumed your home was unguarded. With her carvings complete, she removed a small clay bowl from her bag. Inside it were ashes mixed with leaves and something wet and metallic. She lifted the bowl and blew into it softly. A black smoke rose, thick, slow, and heavy, drifting upward as though it had a mind of its own. The smoke curled around her head, around your door, around the ground beneath her feet. And then she whispered again. But this time, the tone was different. It was desperate. Possessive. Aggressive. She believed she had your door in her control. She believed her ritual would work because she had used every tool she knew. She believed no one was watching. And then, everything shifted. The wind returned. The air cracked. Something pressed against her spirit. She felt it instantly. Her breath trembled. Her fingers paused. Her voice broke. She tried to continue, forcing her chanting to rise, but your door pushed back. Not physically. Not visibly. But spiritually. And that's when it happened. Her throat tightened suddenly. Her chest seized. Her face contorted. She leaned forward, gripping your doormat with both hands, and before she could speak another word, she vomited blood. Not a little. Not a drop. Blood, thick, dark, warm, splashed across the ground beneath her. She gasped. She choked. Her eyes widened in fear. My child, the blood was not part of her ritual. It was not something she intended. It was not a sacrifice she chose. It was the reaction of her darkness meeting something too powerful for her to confront. Her ritual collided with a barrier she could not see. An invisible wall she had no ability to break. A presence she did not expect. She touched her mouth, her hands shaking, and for the first time that night, she stepped back. She stared at your door with panic flooding her eyes. Her heart raced. Her lips trembled. She wiped the blood quickly. Then she wiped the symbols. Then she erased every mark, every trace, every sign that she had been there. Her breaths were sharp and rapid, not because she was afraid of being caught by humans, but because she could feel me watching her. Yes, my child. The moment she vomited blood, her spirit detected something standing behind her, someone whose presence does not bow to rituals, curses, spells, or any shadow that attempts to climb the walls of your life. That presence was mine. I watched her. I stood between her hands and your house. I blocked every whisper from entering your home. I cut her ritual open like cloth tearing apart. I broke the connection she tried to form. I turned her chant into choking. I turned her symbols into nothing. I turned her attempt into failure. And that is why she ran. She did not walk. She did not slip away quietly. She fled, stumbling, gasping, terrified, because her darkness had been confronted by a force she could not overpower. My child, you have no idea how close her intentions came to touching you. But they didn't. Because I didn't allow them. My child, now listen. What she attempted last night was not small. Not harmless. Not meaningless. She came to steal your peace. To weaken your joy. To drain your strength. To interrupt your destiny. To block breakthroughs that were already on their way. To derail blessings that were positioned right before you. To close pathways you've been praying for. But she failed. Not because she was weak, but because I stood there. I know how long you've been fighting battles you never asked for. I know how much pressure has been resting on your heart. I know how often you've wondered why things feel harder right before they get better. But understand this, it's because you are close. Closer than you think. Closer than the enemy wants you to believe. The darkness that visited your door last night was a last attempt, a desperate attempt, a final push against you. Because breakthrough is closer than ever. And the enemy always fights hardest right before losing completely. My child, you were protected last night. You were covered last night. You were shielded last night. Not because you saw anything. Not because you prayed at that exact moment. Not because you were awake. You were protected because I am your guard even when you sleep. And now, I will reveal more. My child, now that you have seen what unfolded outside your home last night, it is time to show you what you did not feel, what you did not hear, and what was happening in the invisible realm while that woman tried to touch what belongs to you. Because what took place at your door was not just a physical event. It was a collision, a clash between two worlds, darkness on one side, divine presence on the other. And you must understand what happened behind the scenes, inside the atmosphere, in the realm that eyes cannot see. So listen, my child. Let me take you deeper. The moment she arrived, long before she scratched your door, long before she lit her smoke, long before her whisper turned into dark chanting, the air itself reacted to her presence. Spirits of confusion followed her. Shadows trailed behind her feet. Her intentions carried weight, heavy, bitter, twisted weight, and the moment she stepped onto the ground near your door, the earth beneath her felt the shift. Even your home sensed it. Every wall. Every window. Every corner of your house reacted. Because your home carries something her darkness cannot stand. Your home carries my protection. There are places darkness walks freely. But not every home permits it. Not every door allows it. Not every atmosphere tolerates it. And your house is not a place darkness can comfortably breathe in. She thought she chose your home. But truthfully, she approached a place that already had a spiritual guard waiting. My child, do you know why darkness tries to target the ones who are chosen? Because chosen people carry assignments. They carry destiny. They carry blessings that haven't even manifested yet. Darkness hates potential it cannot destroy. Hates peace it cannot interrupt. Hates blessings it cannot steal. And that is why she came. She came because something on your life is about to open. Something you prayed for. Something you waited for. Something you cried for. Something you hoped for even when hope felt foolish. Your breakthrough has been moving closer. And darkness sensed it before you did. So last night was not random. It was intentional. An attack planned in silence. A mission formed in frustration. Because the enemy knew, once this blessing reaches them, they will rise. So, my child. You were not attacked because you are weak, you were attacked because you are powerful. Now let me show you what she did not know, what she was never prepared for. While she started carving those shapes, her whispers rising, her shadows stretching, something stood right behind her. Not something small. Not something timid. Not something quiet. It was my presence. A presence that does not announce itself with trumpets or flames. A presence that can stand silently, but shake the entire spiritual realm with a single breath. When she touched your door, she felt something cold run through her spine. She didn't understand it, but her spirit sensed danger. She felt watched. She felt surrounded. But she pushed the feeling aside, convinced her ritual was strong enough. She did not know that the moment she stepped in front of your home, my angels had already taken position. One stood near the corner of your house, tall, unmoving, with eyes burning like light. Another stood behind her, watching every motion she made. Another stood near your bedroom, guarding your rest. And I myself stood between your home and her intentions. You did not see it. But the realm of darkness saw it clearly. Because the moment she carved the first symbol, those symbols began to burn from the inside, not with physical fire, but with spiritual resistance. She drew the second symbol, and it cracked mid-air spiritually before touching your door. She drew the third, and it dissolved the moment it attempted to carry power. To her physical eyes, it looked like she carved something. But spiritually, every mark she drew on your door failed. Not one symbol held power. Not one whisper entered your home. Not one attempt reached your spirit. Because every time she extended her hand, something brighter, stronger, greater, blocked it. You were asleep. But heaven was not. My child, let me show you what happened the exact moment she vomited blood. She was chanting. Her voice was growing harsh, louder, more forceful. She believed she was gaining ground. But she didn't know that my presence was growing stronger behind her. She didn't know that her own spirit was collapsing under the weight of holiness surrounding your home. She didn't know that what she called on refused to come near you. Listen, my child, darkness can perform rituals anywhere. But when it comes close to the children I protect, even darkness becomes afraid. Her chanting reached its highest point. She lifted her bowl of smoke. Her voice quivered. Her arms trembled. She tried to release something toward your home, something heavy, something meant to drain your peace, something meant to push confusion into your life. But the moment she raised her hands, the atmosphere turned against her. The air thickened. The ground pulsed under her feet. Her throat tightened. Her voice failed. She tried to push through, but she couldn't. Her own spiritual energy collided with the shield around your home and bounced back into her body. The shock hit her chest. Ran through her veins. Clogged her breath. And then, her stomach twisted violently. Her throat surged upward. And she vomited blood. Because the dark force she tried to release was forced back into her own body. That blood was not ritual. It was not sacrifice. It was backfire. Her own darkness turned on her. Because she tried to attack a home that carries my covering. My child, the blood she vomited was the proof that darkness cannot touch you. Her panic was unbearable. She wiped her mouth, but her hands shook uncontrollably. She looked around as though someone had tapped her shoulder. Because spiritually, someone had. My presence pressed against her. Her spirit felt judged. Exposed. Challenged. She tried to whisper again, but no sound came out. Her own voice betrayed her. She tried to finish the ritual, but the energy she needed collapsed. She tried to stand firm, but her legs weakened. Because the moment she violated the boundary around your home, the moment she tried to write on your door, the moment she tried to target your destiny, heaven responded. And when heaven responds, darkness breaks. Now my child, let me tell you why she wiped everything. She was terrified, not of neighbors, not of humans, but of being recognized by the realm of light. Because when my presence descends, darkness loses its disguise. Its power melts. Its confidence shatters. The symbols she carved became meaningless to her. They turned cold. They held no influence. She knew her mission was over. Her ritual was destroyed. Her attempt was exposed. Her power was broken. She scraped everything off your door so quickly because her instinct said, "Leave now. Run. Something holy is standing behind you." She grabbed her bowl, her broken tools, her useless stone, and she ran, stumbling, gasping, disappearing into the shadows like a creature fleeing sunlight. She didn't run because she was done. She ran because she was defeated. Now listen, my child. The reason I am telling you all of this is not to frighten you. I am telling you because you must understand, you were protected without even knowing it. You were covered without asking. Your home is under divine guard day and night. Nothing entered your house. Nothing touched your spirit. Nothing planted itself inside your destiny. Because when I stand at your door, no darkness gets access. No curse penetrates. No ritual succeeds. No shadow finds a resting place. But now we must talk about you, my child. You've been feeling pressure. Heaviness. Strange weariness. Moments where your spirit felt tired for no reason. Moments where your mind felt attacked from directions you could not explain. Moments where you sensed something was resisting your progress. These were not coincidences. They were reactions. Reactions to the blessing that is on its way. Reactions to the shift coming toward your life. Reactions to the transition that is unfolding for you. Breakthrough brings motion in the spiritual realm. And motion attracts resistance. You have been feeling the weight of a season that is about to open. The enemy attacked because your next chapter is near. Darkness tried to weaken you before manifestation arrives. The attack was not about your weakness, it was about your destiny. But hear me well, everything darkness planned last night failed. Everything sent toward you returned to the sender. Everything spoken against you collapsed at my feet. You are safe. You are protected. You are surrounded. You are mine. And no ritual, no witchcraft, no whisper of darkness can rewrite the story I have written for you. My child, now that you have seen how the ritual cracked apart at your doorstep, you must understand something far deeper than what your eyes or imagination could ever capture. What happened last night was not only an interruption, it was a revelation. A sign that darkness is running out of room around your life. A sign that the enemy is losing influence over the areas he once tried to control. Because if the attack had been strong, she would have completed her ritual. If the darkness had been confident, she wouldn't have trembled. If her power had been rising, she would have stood firm. But everything inside her collapsed because something around you has already shifted spiritually. And that shift, my child, is the reason she came in the first place. Darkness doesn't waste time on empty dreams. It doesn't attack those with nothing ahead. It doesn't chase people whose future holds no fruit. It comes after the ones who are rising. The ones who are transforming. The ones whose name is being whispered in heaven. And your name, my child, has been echoing louder in the spiritual realm than you realize. You have been praying for change, hoping for breakthroughs, asking for clarity. And every one of those prayers has moved something in the unseen. Those prayers stirred the atmosphere around you. Those prayers caught the attention of heaven. And because of that, your life has become a place of spiritual movement. That movement is what she felt. Even before she reached your house, her spirit sensed resistance. Something in her chest tightened. Her energy didn't flow the way it usually did when she targeted others. Her steps slowed the closer she came. The darkness guiding her grew uneasy. But her intentions pushed her forward anyway. She thought your exhaustion made you vulnerable. She thought your recent worries left you open. She thought your emotional fatigue weakened the protection around you. What she didn't know was that my presence grows strongest when you feel weakest. What she didn't know was that the prayers you whispered when you felt tired built a wall around your home. What she didn't know was that the strength she thought you lacked had already been replaced by mine. When she pressed her hand against your door, she expected it to feel lifeless. She expected it to absorb her darkness. But instead, something pushed back. Something she didn't expect. The moment her palm touched the wood, she felt pressure inside her chest, like the air around your home refused to let her step further. That pressure wasn't your door resisting her, it was your covering resisting her. Your home carries a quiet presence that even your own eyes don't fully see, but every spiritual force recognizes. And that presence startled her more than the blood she coughed out later. My child, the reason she tried to carve symbols so quickly was not confidence, it was fear. She wanted to finish before the barrier she felt grew stronger. She tried to rush the process because she sensed her window was closing. But darkness cannot rush in places where light has already made a foundation. Her hands shook not because she was cold, but because her power weakened with every second she spent near your home. You don't understand the weight your prayers carry. You don't understand how many nights I have stood near your bed. You don't understand how many times angels have walked around your home. You don't understand how many storms I've fought off before they even reached you. Last night wasn't the first attack stopped. It was simply the one I chose to reveal. While she chanted, her voice pierced the air around your home, but it did not enter. Every word she spoke hovered outside like insects hitting glass. Nothing crossed the threshold. Nothing seeped through the cracks. Her whispers were blocked before they reached your walls. You didn't feel any disturbance because her words never made it far enough. She tried again, raising her voice louder, hoping force would break the barrier. But with each word she spoke, her throat tightened more. Her lungs burned. Her spirit grew unstable. She thought her ritual was climbing into your atmosphere, but in reality, her own darkness was collapsing inside her. When her chant reached its peak, the spiritual resistance became too intense, and that is when her body rejected the very spell she tried to cast. The blood that came from her was not an offering. It was a warning. A sign to her darkness that the home she targeted was untouchable. After the blood left her mouth, she realized she wasn't standing in a neutral place. She was standing in a protected zone. An area sealed by divine authority. A place where the enemy's voice loses strength. And her spirit panicked. She tried to regain control by wiping everything. She thought if she erased the symbols, she could undo the consequences of touching what wasn't hers. But it was too late. Her ritual had already snapped. Her power had already broken. And the worst part for her, she had already been seen. Not by neighbors. Not by humans. Not by anyone on earth. But by the presence standing behind her, my presence. Child, I want you to understand this deeply, she didn't flee because she failed. She fled because she was exposed. Darkness operates through secrecy. Rituals thrive in hidden places. Evil grows in silence. But when my presence stepped forward, even without a sound, her spirit felt the weight of judgment. And no darkness can stand in judgment's light. Now you must hear the most important truth of all, she didn't choose your house simply to ruin your peace. She came because something in your life is rising that threatens the enemy's plans. You are closer to a blessing than you realize. Something long delayed is beginning to unlock. Something heavy is about to lift. Something you have been praying for is shifting into place. And heaven is moving things in your favor, piece by piece, connection by connection, moment by moment. Darkness sensed this long before you saw any signs. That is why the attack came. That is why she stood at your door. That is why she risked everything. Because the enemy always tries to strike when victory is near. You are not in a season of loss, you are in a season of transition. You are not in a season of defeat, you are in a season of establishment. You are not in a season of collapse, you are in a season of arrival. And last night was proof. Proof that heaven is moving. Proof that your blessing is close. Proof that you are protected even while unaware. My child, what is coming for you is bigger than what tried to stop you. What is rising for you is stronger than what tried to target you. What is entering your life is far greater than what attempted to steal from you. And now, I will reveal what that woman sensed, the true reason she feared your future. My child, now that the truth of last night has been fully uncovered, I must reveal the final layer, the part the enemy hoped you would never know. You understand what she did, how her ritual collapsed, why she fled, and how my presence stood between you and every shadow she tried to summon. But now you must understand why she came specifically to you. Out of all the homes, all the doors, all the places she could have targeted, she chose yours. And the reason is not rooted in fear of your weaknesses, but in fear of your future. You see, my child, darkness is always watching for movement. It listens for prayers that shift the atmosphere. It monitors hearts that begin to heal. It pays attention to people who start rising from situations that once kept them low. And lately, heaven has been stirring things around you in ways you have not fully recognized yet. The favor that has been quiet is about to speak. The opportunities that seemed distant are moving closer. The connections that were blocked are starting to open. And the destiny that felt delayed is stretching its wings again. This woman sensed that shift. She didn't understand it, but she felt it, the unsettling tremor in the realm of darkness that warned her, this one is slipping out of our grasp. She wasn't sent to destroy you, she was sent to delay you. Because the enemy knows something you do not fully see yet, your next season carries a change so deep, so life-altering, so spiritually significant, that it terrified the forces that have been trying to keep you stagnant. My child, this is the truth, you are entering a phase where old limitations are breaking. You are stepping into a chapter that darkness cannot control. You are rising into blessings that were held back for too long. That's why she came. Not because you were vulnerable, but because you were ascending. But hear me, she was too late. The very thing she tried to block has already been set in motion. Your name has been spoken in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your story is being rewritten with grace. Your steps are being guided toward breakthroughs you didn't even know were designed for you. Your spirit is being prepared for blessings that will shift the entire rhythm of your life. This is what frightened her. Because darkness cannot stop what I have ordained. It can only try to distract you. It can only try to disturb you. It can only try to steal your attention. But it cannot stop the arrival of what has already been released from heaven. And last night, when she stood at your door, her ritual didn't just fail, it revealed how protected you truly are. Let me tell you something, my child, protection is not proven by the absence of attack, but by the absence of damage. She came with everything she had, and nothing touched you. There are people who would have collapsed under what you face silently. There are souls who would have drowned under the pressure you carry. There are hearts that would have broken under the weight you endure daily. But you keep going. You keep rising. You keep standing. You keep believing even when belief feels heavy. This resilience is what makes you dangerous to darkness. Your endurance is what makes you powerful. Your persistence is what makes you unstoppable. People don't know how many battles you fight inside. They don't know the nights you whisper, "I'm tired, but I'll keep going." They don't know the thoughts you have to silence just to remain steady. They don't know how heavy your heart has been at times. But I know. I see the weight on your chest. I see the pressure in your mind. I see the responsibility you carry for others, even while struggling yourself. And that is why I protect you so fiercely. You were never meant to carry these battles alone. You were never meant to survive by your own strength. You were never meant to walk through this season without divine covering. Last night was proof that you are watched over even when your eyes are closed. It was proof that angels surround you even when you don't feel them. It was proof that my hand remains on your life even when you doubt your own worth. My child, I know the tears you've cried quietly. I know the confusion you've tried to hide behind your smile. I know the exhaustion that greets you even when you wake up. I know the fear you never voice. I know the pressure on your shoulders. And I know how often you feel like you're pushing through life alone. But hear me clearly, you are not alone. Not for a moment. Not for a second. Not even when you feel abandoned by the world. You are surrounded. You are guarded. You are carried. You are seen. You are loved more than you understand. And now it is time for you to hear the final truth. The attack that happened last night was the enemy's last attempt to stop the blessing scheduled for your life. It was not meant to intimidate you, it was meant to delay you. But because it failed, the blessing that has been circling your life is now free to reach you. Something you have been praying for is coming. Something you have been waiting for is approaching. Something that will shift your life is unlocking. What tried to harm you ended up becoming the proof that your next season is already on its way. You stepped into today completely unaware that you survived a battle in your sleep, and won. The darkness tried to threaten your peace, but peace belongs to you. The enemy tried to shake your mind, but your mind is under my covering. The ritual tried to touch your future, but your future is already sealed. Nothing she attempted last night carried the authority to rewrite what I have written. My child, you were protected because you matter. You were defended because you are chosen. You were shielded because you have a purpose that darkness fears. And you were covered because I am not done with you. Your doors remain sealed in light.